Alright, so this video today is for the people who have just started selling on Etsy or something like that, maybe eBay as well, or you've been selling on there for not a very long time, and I'm just trying to give you the best advice I possibly can with my 1 year plus of experience, everything I've learned over the past year. If you don't know me, my name's Ed. I've been selling on Etsy for over a year now, maybe 15 months or so. I've done e-commerce for like 3 years, and it's all I've done my whole life. I've never worked a job. I've just lived off the e-commerce money, everything I made online. So quite fortunate for that. However, today I want to make this video because I would have really appreciated someone telling me all the things that I'm about to tell you 15 months ago when I started selling on Etsy and on eBay as well. This basically is a video to speedrun your knowledge on print on demand or dropshipping. I've done both, and I'm going to tell you how you can basically get started. The main things that we're covering is product research, fulfillment, and creating winning listings. With these three things, they're basically all you need to actually make a lot of money from the platform. And if you want to sort of like find out whether I should do print on demand or whether I should do dropshipping, then this will probably help you. To give you some brief numbers on Etsy, I probably scaled from 0 to 5k a month with dropshipping in around 3 months. And then with print on demand, I did it in my second month, I hit 5k a month with print on demand. So both the business models work. Both the business models are really good. One is a little bit more risky. If you guys didn't know, then dropshipping is a little bit more risky. I'll just cover that quickly in case you guys don't know. So with Etsy, you're not technically allowed to dropship, but you might have seen the new rule which they implemented, and it's basically called sourced by seller. And sourced by seller is not really 100% sure what it means, but basically you can tell by the name, sourced by seller. It basically means that the seller sources the item and they don't actually make it themselves, or they don't have anything to do with the production process themselves. It just means that they source the item, which maybe, give or take, it could mean that you can dropship on the platform within TOS. I don't know. I don't want to make a conclusion. However, it probably does mean that you are allowed to wholesale items. So if you are buying in bulk from China and literally not doing anything to the item yourself, just buying in bulk, sending it to your house and sending it to your customers, that's probably allowed now because it's technically sourced by a seller. So they're making some changes to the platform, and no doubt 3 months from me making this video, there's probably going to be some more changes to Etsy and eBay, the rules and etc., whatever you're allowed to do. But yeah, so first thing we need to cover is the most important thing, which is product research. If you can't do good product research, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to make any sort of reasonable process. So that should be your number one priority if you're starting to sell on the platform of eBay or on Etsy. So how do you do product research? How are you going to get started? One thing that no one tells you on YouTube or on any sort of like course, whatever, if you're trying to learn how to sell on these platforms, no one teaches you what you need to learn and how to learn. That's the most important things. People don't tell you how to learn or how you're actually going to figure out these things, because sure, I can tell you to go and do product research, learn how to do product research, use the spy tools, etc. But if you learn how to learn, then you can actually make a lot quicker progress than just focusing on learning what these random YouTubers are telling you to learn. So what you need to know is that the way that you actually make more progress with your product research methods on Etsy, and you actually get better at product research, is by understanding the platform. So whether you're selling on eBay or Etsy, or if you're selling on both, you need to understand each of these individual platforms. How do you do that? The way you do that is by spending time on the platforms. When I first started selling on Etsy, I probably spent around an hour, 2 hours a day for the first 2-3 months, entirely just spending time on the platform, looking at everything, reading the reviews, reading the titles, looking at the images and understanding, okay, these images are ranking on the first page, but when I go to page 9, they're all like different types of images. Why is this? Can I figure out the differences? Can I read what the customers are saying? What are they actually looking for? Because if you can understand what the customers want, then you can provide that to your customers in your listings or the products that you're creating as well. So you have to read everything on the platform. You have to understand what people want. Because if you don't understand what people want, what the customers are actually looking for, then how are you going to sell that to them, and how are you going to make them give you their money, essentially, for your products, of course, not just randomly charging to take their money. But you know what I mean. So that's the most important thing, is product research. And the way you actually get good at product research is by understanding the platforms and by spending time just looking around. You don't have to spend 1 to 2 hours a day, as I said, but it will help you out, especially when you're just getting started. Because more than likely, if you're someone my age or someone close to my demographic, like male, 18 to 30 years old, then you probably have no idea what Etsy is. You probably have barely an idea what eBay is, because we don't really use those two platforms. Our demographic probably uses Amazon, and that's it really, to buy stuff online. So you need to understand how the platforms work, maybe even go through and buy a couple of items yourself. Figure out, how do I write a review? What encourages a customer to write a review? How can you encourage your customers to write more reviews? How do I enter my delivery details? Can I make anything easier in the checkout process? You might start checking out for an item, then you realize, okay, this person is charging for next day delivery for an extra £2 or £3. And then you think, oh, I could do that as well. So you just learn things by just being on the platform and just looking around the platform and doing different things. Now, you don't want to just spend your time on the platform and just click just random buttons and not really absorb the information. You really need to absorb everything you're seeing when you're starting to sell on these platforms, because this is really how you're going to actually learn. I believe that anything, by far, the most effective way to make any sort of progress is by spending time looking at the platform that you're selling on. So that's point one covered, and it is the exact same for print on demand / dropshipping. People ask when they change from dropshipping to print on demand, how do I go ahead and start doing, how do I do print on demand product research? It's different, right? No, it's the exact same, because the thing is, regardless of what you want to sell on the platform, the same types of items will sell. So if you sold a dropshipping item and you put a personalization option on it, it would still sell because it's the same product. People just buy based on the product itself rather than anything else. So the same types of dropshipping products and print on demand products will sell. However, when you're doing print on demand, you might have to look for a couple of different things based on your supplier and what they can provide for you. Because of course, there's some things which are incredibly expensive to make with print on demand. For example, if you wanted to make like, you do see some of these stores where they have massive metal wall art and they just go on the wall or whatever in the garden, whatever they are, but they require massive, like, I think it's either laser engravers or CNC milling machines or something like that. But if they're selling these massive like cast iron wall art pieces that are like 3 meters long, then it's going to require an incredibly big piece of machinery that is going to be expensive for anyone to make, really. So most suppliers won't be able to make that. So you do have to make sure that your supplier can fulfill the products. That's the only thing that is different when you're doing print on demand product research, is that just making sure you can get a supplier for it and getting someone to fulfill your items for you, because things are complicated with print on demand. And they're a little bit more complicated than with dropshipping, because most of the time with dropshipping, you can go onto something like CJ Dropshipping, reverse image search, and then go onto CJ and then find the exact product on CJ Dropshipping for half the price or something like that. And especially with eBay, where dropshipping is allowed, a lot of the times people are using their own custom images, so you can't exactly reverse image search them, but you can just search for the titles, search for the product itself, and you're going to find it on a CJ Dropshipping for half or even a quarter or even like 10% of the price. People are 10xing the prices from CJ Dropshipping, then selling it on eBay for that price. You just got to find the right products. And don't give up. Don't give up when you're doing product research. Don't give up when you're trying to understand the platform and you're trying to learn more about the platforms. You have to just keep going. This is probably the most tedious phase, but I guarantee you, 3 months of doing this, you're going to feel like a 10 years experienced seller. Just 3 months of spending a couple hours a day on the platform, even an hour a day on the platform, just clicking around, learning things, you're going to feel like you have 10 years worth of experience. Because I guarantee you, most of the sellers that have been selling on there for 10 years don't even understand their own platform that they're selling on. Let's move on to point two. So point one was product research, understanding the platform, that's how you do that. Point two is fulfillment. So with print on demand and dropshipping, the fulfillment that you're going to need to use is essentially up to you. There's 2 suppliers that I'm going to walk through, the ones that I use for print on demand and the ones that you can use for dropshipping. Me, myself, I used to dropship on these various platforms and I don't do it anymore. I just focus on print on demand because I think print on demand is a better long-term play. However, if you're like trying to get in and trying to just start making money as soon as possible, I think dropshipping is an easier way because it's just a lower barrier to entry and it's a lot simpler compared to print on demand. With print on demand, things can get a little bit complicated, but that's not what the video is about. The video is about teaching you about each one. Not saying, trying to not be biased towards which one's better. You can make your own decision of that. So fulfillment. Let's go through dropshipping first. I'm going to show you a product here on screen, and this product is essentially a winning product. So it's as I just mentioned. That's how we do the product research. We spend time on the platform, we look around on the platform, click different things, click different items. And this product right here, you can see is a winning product because it has something like 10 plus sold in the last 24 hours. And I'm going to show you an exact copy of this exact product on CJ Dropshipping, which is the supplier I recommend you use just because it's so reliable, so easy to use, quick shipping from China as well. You get some items which are delivered in around 7 to 10 days, which you think about it when you're selling on Etsy, that is perfectly normal for a customer to get their item in 7 to 10 days because they think it's handmade, right? So you have to handmake the item. You can't handmake the item in like 30 minutes. You can say, okay, it takes me a couple of days to make this item, then it takes me a couple of days to get it delivered as well. So it's perfectly fine to use the Chinese suppliers. You just need to make sure that you're being honest with the Etsy platform and you're using the correct tracking info so that you don't get flagged for any wrongdoing, essentially. So just make sure you're using the correct tracking info. And if you're using a company like CJ Dropshipping here, you can see the product. I'm going to put it on screen, the winning product, and I'm going to put the price that you can get it for on CJ Dropshipping. And this just shows you the sort of profit margins that you can run, because obviously when people are dropshipping, they just mark up the product by like 3 times, maybe even 4 times, maybe even 5 times. You're going to find products which people are selling on Etsy, and you're going to go to CJ Dropshipping, and then you're going to find products that people are selling for 10x the price. Like, it is that crazy, especially on Etsy. I promise it is so easy to use, and that is the one that I would recommend you use because I've used it before. That's all I used when I was dropshipping on the platform of Etsy and eBay. It was just so simple and so easy to use. And you want to have something that is reliable. You don't want to go to some random supplier or someone on AliExpress who's going to take 25 days to deliver your product. So yeah, print-on-demand suppliers. Print-on-demand suppliers is very different to dropshipping. Dropshipping is a lot more simple because you can just do like the one product and anyone in China can source that product for you. With print-on-demand, it requires machinery to make it one-to-one. If you're doing personalized items, then it's going to be a little bit more complicated as well. There's a couple of ways which you could go about fulfillment with print-on-demand. Firstly, I would suggest using the standard fulfillment companies like Printify, Printful, if you're doing anything which is printed. So if you require anything which is like classic printed t-shirts, printed hoodies, or anything printed, like people print on baubles, they print on anything, like print on plaques. If you're doing anything like that, then I would suggest you use something like the standard ones which are easy to integrate into Etsy or eBay themselves, because it's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier to begin with as a new seller onto the platform. And it would just help you get the ball rolling initially, just using something like Printify, where it just automatically fulfills the items for you. All you got to do on Printify is just, from when you get the order on Etsy, is just go over to Printify and then click place order, and you just pay them there. That's it. Simple as. It's not difficult at all. So that's a really simple way to get started. And the only thing is, Printify is very restricted. A lot of us print-on-demand sellers, we want to sell things which are more unique. We want to sell things that maybe we only have 1 or 2 other competitors selling the same products. And when you want to sell something like that, it's almost impossible to source it from Printify most of the time, or any of these online easy print-on-demand suppliers. So when you got that problem, right, you're probably thinking, okay, who do I go to? What do I do? Well, there's my company, which is called edpod.co. This is a print-on-demand supplier fulfillment company. And the entire reason I made this company is to basically help new or help any sort of Etsy seller fulfill items that they can't fulfill themselves because they don't want to buy the expensive machinery. I have it and I make it myself. Or, well, we make it together. I've got that's like a miniature team almost. But that's the aim. Right? If you want to sell something, then you should be able to sell it, because before I made my own company, then people were thinking, okay, I want to sell this, but this laser engraver is going to cost me £1,500 and I don't want to buy that. So you come to me, who's going to make it for you. When we got the laser engraver, we just do whatever you want, whatever products you want. And even if you want to sell something that's super niche, right? If you just think you see some engraved, I don't know, stone on Etsy, you find this small engraved stone and you want to engrave a name on here or something like that, then who's going to do that for you? No one's going to be able to supply that for you. That's the entire reason I made my own company, to help people with the fulfillment of their own items, so that you can engrave this rock and send it to a customer. That's literally what we would do for you, because we make anything. That is the slogan, that is the brand message, that you think of it, we make it. That's it. So engraving, any sort of vinyl work, any sort of t-shirt like specialist puff printing, we can do that as well. Any sort of normal basic t-shirt printing, we can do that as well. And if you just think, okay, I see this product on Etsy, I can't find a source for it, come to me, shoot me a message. I'll put my own website. This is not a plug. I don't make a lot of money from this company. It's purely for the community. and I have my own community as well, which loads of people now. I've got around 5 to 10 people in the community that are using my own fulfillment company, because it's literally like there's nowhere else to go to find and source and get a supplier for these products. So I hope that covers it. I hope that makes things a little bit more simple. And I promise when you go to my website, it's very, very simple. You just shoot my, there's a phone number on the website, edpod.co. Put the top link in the description, message the phone number on the website. It's a WhatsApp number. And then just say, I want to sell this product. Can you give me a price for it? And then we'll give you some price, ultimatums, etc., delivery times. And of course, we're based in the UK. So we deliver internationally for pretty good prices as well, even if you are based or selling to the USA mainly. And then the same applies with CJ Dropshipping or any sort of online marketplace, any sort of online supplier. They will deliver internationally. You don't have to get a new supplier for Europe. You don't have to get a new supplier for USA. It's very simple. Pretty much all the time is going to be all in one for you. So that's the first 2 points. The third point, and this is basically what puts the cherry on the top. You can do really good product research. You can do really good fulfillment. And if you don't create winning listings, you don't know how to create good listings, then your items aren't going to sell. This is ultimately what basically fills everything together, is you creating a good listing of your product that shows it off well and helps it reach as many potential customers as it possibly can. There's a few factors that go into creating winning listings, the most important being product images by far. There's a few other small things which are basically just optimizations. People think they spend a couple hours a day doing their SEO, it's going to make them a load more money. If you understand how SEO works, if you understand how the search ranking system works on Etsy, it's by a quality score, and it's by essentially how much money it makes them. So if a listing on Etsy, if a listing, say I started a new listing, I made a new product, put it on my store, and it made 10 sales in the first day, that listing is going to rank way higher than a product which has been on the platform for 3 months and it hasn't made any sales at all. So you have to understand Etsy ranks basically on how much money they're making. If they're making more money from a product has a higher conversion rate, then they're going to push that product way harder because more people are buying it and they want to make as much money as possible. That's how the algorithm works, and that's how it works with any other online marketplace, Amazon, eBay, Temu, anything that you're buying from online. That is exactly how they all work, because they're basically optimized to make as many sales for themselves as possible. They don't really care about being equal to everyone. They don't care about everyone getting their fair share. They just care about making as much money as possible. And that's it. Because it's a business. It's like what we're doing is a business as well. So simple as. That's how it works. And don't spend your time, because it's going to be wasted, spending time thinking, oh, what's the best word I can use for the first 3 words of my title? Just use your brain, have a quick look on the platform and see what words people are using. Look at some keywords. Make sure your keywords are relevant. That's the most important thing, is making sure that your keywords are relevant and related to your product. If you're using keywords that aren't related to your product, say if you're selling a stone memorial for like a dog, like a, I don't know, keepsake or something, and you use the word cat, then it's not going to sell to anyone who has a cat, because it is a dog focused product. You know, so if someone clicks on it and they have a cat and they don't buy it, it's going to lower your conversion rate, and it's going to lower the amount of people that you're ultimately reaching from your product, because your SEO is wrong. Make sure your SEO is targeting the right amount of right people. By the way, if you don't know what SEO is, I should have explained this first. My fault. SEO is just search engine optimization, and it's basically a term that you use when we're talking about the titles, tags, and maybe even description of your product as well. It's basically just how you get shown up in the search of Etsy. So it's just titles, tags, etc. It's just putting relevant keywords in your titles, in your tags, etc., so they can reach the correct customers and reach more customers as well. But as I said before, the most important thing that it comes down to when you're creating winning listings, or you're trying to create winning listings, is your product images. Product images are by far the most important thing. But ultimately, I tell this to some guys in my group as well. I tell this to some guys and I say, ultimately, you can have the best product images in the world, but if your product is terrible, no one's going to buy it, because your product images can look really well. They're not buying for the product images, they're buying for the product itself. So you can have bad product images, but a really good product, and it's going to sell. And this is simply just an optimization. As I said before, it just fills everything together, and it just basically puts the cherry on top. If you can create good product images, then your item will sell more. Your item will probably sell if you have really bad product images, but it will sell more if you have better product images. So that's the most important thing to remember in your head, is that it is just an optimization. It's not the thing that's going to make you 100 sales a day or something. So when you're trying to take good pictures for your products, it's important that you take them in good lighting with a moderately interesting but not overcrowded background, which means that if you have loads of things going on in the background of the product, then it's kind of confusing and it will reduce the chance of a customer clicking on it. So you need to have a simple background with good lighting and a good angle in the cover photo. The cover photo is the most important picture. So that's the first picture that you're putting on your listings. That will be your cover photo. And that is the most important picture that you're putting on all of your listings, because that's how the customer actually clicks on your listing. And then they think, okay, this product looks good. I can't speak, I'm struggling. I've been speaking for a long time, but this product looks good and I'm going to buy it. Or they think, oh, maybe I could buy it. So they click on it, right? So that's where the cover is the most important thing. You've got to make sure your product looks as good as possible in the cover photo. And of course, in all the other pictures as well. But the cover photo is the most important picture of your entire selection of photos. I suggest you use around maybe anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 pictures is enough. You want to have the cover photo basically showing the whole product itself with a moderately interesting background with good lighting. And it just needs to be clear so people can see the product itself or the design you're putting onto it. If you're doing print on demand, just show the whole product. There should be no parts of it cut out. And another product image should be of its size. So either put your hand in the picture or put something of relevant size in your product picture as well. So basically the customer can tell easily without having to go down to the description and read. They can tell, okay, this is how big it is. I know because this is the reference. So the size, the reference is the most important thing, or is a important thing. And a few lifestyle shots. So a few pictures where the actual product itself is going to be shown. So whether it's like something for your kitchen, then you put it in the kitchen. If it's something for your living room, you put it in your living room and you show it in a realistic scenario of where the actual product is going to be put by your customer. So they can know, okay, it looks like this, and this will actually look good in my lounge or whatever, and then that's what makes them buy it, because they see how it is looking or how it actually looks in a real scenario. A couple other ones that you could use is just basically a video is really good to show basically the quality of the item. That's what a video is really good for, or a special feature or anything like that is really good to showcase in the video. But remember, if you're on mobile, then the videos will get shown first to your customers. So you have to show your product in your video. You can't just put like a bunch of text in your videos. I see people do this. It's a huge mistake that people make, and they just put like a bunch of text saying this is our delivery time, this is the personalization you can do. Don't do that in your video. If you do it in your video, do it right at the end of your video. Don't do it at the start, because when people are scrolling on mobile on their phones on Etsy, they just see the video first. They don't actually see the cover item, the cover photo of your listing. So the video needs to be of your product itself. Any sort of specialist features, perfectly fine. Description is very straightforward. First of all, tell them why they should buy the products. Then give them the key details about the product, colors, dimensions, materials, those types of things. Then maybe tell them a little bit about your story. Say, I've been selling on Etsy for 6 months and I started this because my mum passed away and I'm just carrying on what she wanted, or something like that. Whatever, just make it up if you want to make it more interesting. And then your final line should be, if you have any questions before you buy, message me. And that's how you get people to message you if they have any further questions, or if anything is unclear. What you might also find is that when people start messaging you, they're going to have the same questions every single time. So you can add that into your description, or you can also add that into the FAQ section on your website as well. This is probably the best summary I can give you in a 20-minute time frame. This is everything I wish I was taught about when I started selling on Etsy and eBay. And remember, a little bit of final advice is that don't restrict yourself to one platform. Never restrict yourself to one single platform. Open up accounts on Etsy, eBay, even Amazon Handmade, something like Not on the High Street as well. If you want to, that costs £250, but it might be worth it for you if you're selling items that work on their platform. So don't restrict yourself to one platform. The main two are Etsy and eBay, because they're the two, I would say free, but recently Etsy started charging to sell on their platforms, like a $20 startup fee or something like that, for whatever reason. But Etsy or eBay is completely free to sell on. So these are the two that I would suggest just putting your items onto. Don't just sell on Etsy and eBay, because you never know. Your item could work on Etsy really well, but it could work even better on eBay. So that's what I suggest you do. And especially with dropshipping, it's a lot easier to just transfer listings over from one platform to the other, very simply. If you want to shoot me a private message, I'll drop my Discord server below. I'm creating a new community which is specifically for print-on-demand sellers or online marketplace sellers. And if you did want to apply for that community, it's like a very privatized community. There's no sort of set rules on how you get in. We're just looking for people who can add value to the community itself. It's called EdPod Connect. And if you did want to apply, I'll put the link in the description for the Discord server, and for the application form as well. I'll put a link in that as well. So make sure to check that out if you are interested in joining a print-on-demand community or an online marketplace sellers community. And check out my fulfillment company, and make sure to check out CJ Dropshipping, because those are the two best fulfillment companies that you can use. This is pretty straightforward, and I promise you it's not as complicated. If you're looking to start selling, it's not as complicated as it seems or as people make it seem. Just start selling and then you'll get used to it eventually. Any questions, drop them in the comments below, and make sure to check out all the links in the description.